Hello, it's time for another video about the Japanese language. Today I thought I would talk about kanji again, but this time I want to talk about the parts that make up a kanji. This isn't something that you could talk about in 5 minutes or an hour, but I'll try to simplify it so people who are just kind of curious about Japanese kanji can understand where it comes from. So when I studied kanji in college, there wasn't a set method to it. There was just a book, and the Japanese way is, here are these kanji, write them over and over again until you remember them. Now, if I were 6 years old and I had like 12 more years to study, then I would be able to do that. But as a foreigner studying Japanese, I need an easier method. And while I was in college, one of my friends introduced me to the Heisig method. So people who don't know, James Heisig was a missionary who came to Japan in the late 70s, and he had lots of time, and he spent a couple of months devising a method to studying kanji. And after he finished all of his research, it only took him a couple of months to learn most of the standard kanji used for educational purposes. So for those who don't know, that's almost 2,000, and that's quite a feat. It's really amazing. But after many people asked him what his secret was, he actually published a book explaining it. And the way that he learned kanji was to separate all of the radicals. And by radicals, I mean the different parts that make up a kanji. I can't go into all of them because there are so many, and they have different names and all of these things, but just realize that a kanji is made up of radicals. For example, we'll use an easy one, like read. So you can see on the left part of this kanji, there is this particular shape. And this particular shape is called a radical because it appears in many other kanji. And it happens to be by itself, it means to say. So a lot of times when you see that kanji, or when you see that radical in a kanji, it means words or something of that effect. So a lot of times these radicals have a particular meaning. So if you see them, then you can kind of guess what the kanji means. It's almost like using context clues in English. It's very difficult, but once you get the hang of it, actually understanding Japanese when you see it is a lot easier. That is one of the big things about radicals. It's one of those things that a lot of Westerners who study Japanese don't try to tackle it, but it really does help you studying Japanese if you can understand how to use radicals or what they mean. Of course, the Heisig method is kind of strange because sometimes he gives weird names to the radicals, and I would also advise learning what the Japanese names are as well. It's just a good all-around skill. If you're going to learn Japanese, it's very important to be able to understand what you're looking at when you see it all over the place. Because some of these radicals are used more than others, they actually influence the way that some kanji are pronounced. That is something that I'll go into for another lesson, but just keep in mind that some radicals always carry a certain pronunciation, and some don't, depending on how frequently they're used. So that's all for today with radicals, the written word. So I hope that it helps out a little bit. So please just, if you are studying Japanese and you have any questions, feel free to ask. I would love to help. I don't know what the methods are for studying Japanese where you are, but you know, if you haven't checked out the Heisig book, Remembering the Kanji, I would recommend it. It's not for something you can do in a class. It's definitely more for self-study, and it's a long system. You know, there's 3 different books, and the first 2 take a long time to get through, but if you can do that, then Japanese kanji becomes a lot easier. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and you learned something. So keep an eye out, and I'll post another video soon. Thanks.